Once upon a time, deep in a dense green forest, there lived a tiger named Shera. Shera was not like the other tigers. He was big, strong, and feared by all the animals. But more than his strength, it was his selfishness that made everyone stay away from him. Shera always thought only of himself. He never cared for others and always wanted to keep the best of everything for himself. In the same forest lived a crow named Kaka. Kaka was small, clever, and very wise. Unlike Shera, Kaka was liked by everyone in the forest. He would often help other animals and share his food, even though he didn't have much. Kaka knew how to survive using his wit and brains, and that made him special. One hot summer day, when the sun was high in the sky and all the water holes were drying up, the animals of the forest started to worry. The dry season had come early that year, and soon finding water became difficult. All the animals gathered near the last big water hole left in the forest. "Let's share the water," said the deer. "If we all take turns, we can survive until the rains come." The animals agreed. They made a plan to drink water in turns, so no one would be left thirsty. But Shera, the selfish tiger, had other plans. "I am the king of the jungle," he roared. "Why should I wait for anyone? This water belongs to me." Shera, using his power, scared all the animals away from the water hole. He drank as much as he wanted and lay beside the water hole, not letting anyone else come near. The animals were scared, but also angry. They whispered among themselves, "This is not fair. If Shera keeps doing this, we will all die of thirst." Among the animals was Kaka, the clever crow. He watched everything from a tree branch, thinking to himself. He knew that Shera had to be stopped, but how could a small crow like him defeat such a mighty tiger? The next day, the situation became worse. The water in the hole was shrinking, and Shera was not allowing any animal to come near it. The poor animals were suffering in silence. Kaka knew that something had to be done, and quickly. As he flew over the forest, an idea came to his mind. Kaka knew that Shera's strength was in his power, but his weakness was his arrogance and greed. If only he could use that against him. Kaka flew down to the other animals and said, "Don't worry, I have a plan. We will teach Shera a lesson he won't forget." The animals were curious. "What will you do, Kaka? He is so strong, and we are so weak." Kaka smiled. "Leave that to me. Sometimes, brains are more powerful than strength." The next morning, as the sun rose and the forest animals were too weak to move, Shera stretched his massive body beside the water hole. He was pleased with himself, knowing that the water belonged to him alone. Just then, Kaka swooped down from a tree and landed right in front of Shera. "Good morning, mighty Shera," Kaka said in a cheerful voice. Shera looked at him suspiciously. "What do you want, little crow? Don't you know I don't like to be disturbed?" Kaka bowed his head respectfully. "Oh, I'm not here to disturb you, great tiger. In fact, I admire you. You are so strong and powerful. I think no one in this entire forest is as great as you." Shera, though proud, didn't trust Kaka completely. "Why are you praising me, crow? What do you want?" Kaka smiled. "I want nothing, mighty Shera. But I have some information that might interest you." Shera, being curious and proud, asked, "What information?" Kaka's eyes twinkled. "I overheard something very interesting while flying through the forest. I heard that just beyond this forest, there is another water hole, even bigger and fuller than this one. And guess what? There's no one guarding it. If you go there, you can have all the water to yourself without having to share it with anyone." Shera's ears perked up. The idea of having more water and no animals to bother him seemed very tempting. "But why are you telling me this?" Shera asked, narrowing his eyes. Kaka acted as if he were hurt. "I am simply a loyal servant of the great tiger. I thought you should be the first to know about such an opportunity." Shera, in his greed and arrogance, believed Kaka's words. He didn't even question why a crow would be so friendly toward him. All he could think about was having another waterhole for himself. "Lead me to this waterhole," Shera demanded. Kaka smiled inwardly, knowing his plan was working. "Follow me, mighty tiger. I will show you the way." Kaka flew ahead, and Shera followed closely behind. As they traveled deeper into the forest, the path became more difficult. The bushes were thick, and the trees were tall. Shera was beginning to get tired, but he didn't want to show any weakness in front of Kaka. "Are we there yet?" Shera growled impatiently. "Just a little further, great tiger," Kaka replied. "We are almost there." As they went deeper into the forest, the terrain became rocky and the bushes thorny. Shera, though strong, started feeling the pain from the sharp stones and thorns that pricked his paws. But Shera's greed pushed him forward. "I must reach the waterhole," he thought to himself. Kaka, flying just ahead, saw Shera's struggle and knew that his plan was working perfectly. After a long and tiring journey, they reached a small clearing in the forest. In the center of the clearing was a large pit, covered with dry leaves and sticks. "There it is," Kaka said, pointing to the pit. "The waterhole is just beyond this clearing. But be careful, mighty tiger. The ground here is a bit unstable." Shera, eager to reach the water, ignored Kaka's warning. In his hurry, he stepped forward, and suddenly, the ground beneath him gave way. With a loud roar, Shera fell into the pit. Kaka had led him straight into a trap, a pit dug by the animals to catch Shera. Shera roared and struggled, but the more he tried to escape, the deeper he sank into the pit. The walls were too steep and slippery for him to climb out. Kaka perched on a branch above the pit and looked down at the trapped tiger. "Why, Shera, it looks like you've fallen into a trap. I warned you to be careful," Kaka said, pretending to be concerned. Shera, furious and embarrassed, realized that he had been tricked. "You tricked me, you cunning crow!" Shera roared. "Get me out of here at once!" Kaka shook his head. "Oh no, Shera. You see, you've been very selfish. The other animals are suffering because of your greed. This is a lesson for you." Shera's anger turned to fear. For the first time, he realized that his selfishness had made him many enemies. "Please, Kaka," Shera begged. "I promise I will change. I will share the water with everyone. Just help me get out of here." Kaka looked at Shera thoughtfully. "Are you sure, Shera? Will you really change?" "I swear it," Shera said, his voice trembling. "I will never be selfish again." Kaka knew that Shera was sincere, but he wanted to make sure. "Very well, Shera," Kaka said. "I will help you, but you must promise in front of all the animals that you will never be selfish again." Shera agreed, and Kaka flew back to the other animals to tell them what had happened. The animals, though scared, gathered near the pit where Shera was trapped. One by one, they approached cautiously. Shera, seeing all the animals, felt ashamed of how he had treated them. "I am sorry," Shera said in a humble voice. "I have been selfish and cruel. From now on, I will share everything with you, and I will never take more than my share." The animals, seeing Shera's sincerity, decided to forgive him. Together, they worked to free Shera from the pit. They pulled him out with vines and ropes, and when Shera was finally free, he bowed his head in gratitude. From that day on, Shera changed his ways. He shared the water with all the animals and became a protector of the forest, rather than a bully. The animals no longer feared him, and peace returned to the forest. Kaka, the clever crow, watched from his tree with a smile. He knew that sometimes a little cleverness and kindness could change even the mightiest of hearts. And so, the forest lived in harmony once again, all thanks to the cunning crow and the lesson learned by the